Hi, and welcome back to LogRhythm's Security Spotlight. This series is designed to provide quick visibility and understanding into the ways you can leverage the LogRhythm platform against a variety of threats. Today's Spotlight is a quick overview of an approach to monitoring for potential process injection techniques. Process hollowing is a sub-technique of process injection and is a form of defense evasion that looks to mask malicious activity by hiding behind a veneer of legitimacy. This is achieved by initiating a process that the victim machine would be expecting, such as winword.exe, and then immediately suspending that same process. While suspended API calls can be used to write malicious code into the process itself before restarting the initial process creation. Because the spawned secondary process inherits the privilege levels of its parent process, this is a relatively easy way of gaining access to parts of the victim's machine that would otherwise not be accessible. A very simple example would be starting a basic browser process, which is naturally expected to make outbound connections before injecting PowerShell code that uses that same connection expectation to make malicious outbound connections without triggering a standard prevention or detection failsafe. In 2020, process injection was number 1 on the Red Canary threat detection report. And whilst it's fallen to number 6 in both 2021 and 2022, it is clearly still a highly visible and important technique. What makes this more important is that the prevalence of easy-to-use malware kits like Cobalt, Strike and Metasploit has opened this relatively complex capability up to a much wider audience of potential attackers. The Copilot team took 2 approaches to this threat, both creating rules that look for specific signatures to identify process hollowing scripts, all being run in PowerShell, and also a behavioural approach. The behavioural approach is the one outlined below, and it is effectively looking for the difference between the parent process name and the process name being run on a host machine. As we mentioned, process hollowing looks to piggyback on the validity of the parent process, and by monitoring for discrepancies between these 2 values, we're able to spot potentially malicious activity. The rule itself is specifically monitoring winword.exe, but there's nothing stopping an analyst team from expanding the scope, though with all rules focused on behavioural activity, LogRhythm would obviously recommend starting them in event-only mode to ensure you are not flooded by potential false positives. If you want more information about how to enable this rule within your LogRhythm deployment, the link in the description will take you to our community page where you can read more about the rule, as well as the signature rule, download and then potentially import it into your platform. Alternatively, please reach out to your aligned sales engineer or Copilot and they'd be happy to assist you. Finally, we've also provided links to useful blogs and other videos that outline various things discussed in this video in more detail should you wish to continue your reading. Thank you for taking the time to listen. Please check back next week, same time, for another of LogRhythm's Security Spotlights.